All right, we got the tweet out. Let's listen to this, bro.
These caps recaps with no caps brought to you by Logitech. I am Romain, the general manager for G2 eSport League of Legends, and I am right now live backstage from the Riot studio in Berlin. We just got eliminated from the World Championship 2024, losing to the Chinese team BLG. You may wondering if you're tuning into the right video, because if you go back 365 days in time, we also lost and got eliminated from the World Championship by the Chinese team BLG. The sad news is you're still in 2024 and it's still the same team, and we lost 1-2 again. With a pause in the game as well, so it feels a bit shit. I think last time we should have pushed more because there was a bug. This time there was no bug, and we lost the game because they played better. Like especially if you have watched the game in the last team fight, the Israel clicks extremely well. Props to him, he got it there. So yeah, we eliminated. It's disappointing, of course. We wanted to win the whole thing. We wanted to make it to at least Paris for quarterfinal and semi-final, and we're ending up not even making it out of Swiss. The online community has been on fire for the last days, discussing it's unfair. G2 is meeting all the big guys. They had LCK.
I just know that Romain is about to speak facts here, bro. He's going to drop so many facts here. I just know it, bro. He's about to say, well, if we can't beat Billy, it doesn't matter. We wanted to win it all. He's about to speak so much facts here. I just know it, man.
Is it number one? LPSG number one. They are the world champion, and North America is making it without those. Yeah, you can build any narrative you want. At the end of the day, we really believe we are practicing to win the whole thing. So we need to beat all of them, you know. If you're complaining that your opponent is too hard, then change video game, you know. We're here to beat the dungeon till the end boss. We're not going to complain that the boss on the way are too hard. We just have to practice better and click faster. So yeah, I have no regret for this run and the opponent we faced. On the positive side of things, I think everyone was healthy for the whole world's run, which is a clear upgrade from last year, where some of the boys got really sick. So that's nice. It does help that we were operating from Berlin, which is a city we know. Yeah, so disappointing. The year was a good year. I mean, we won everything in Europe, right? So we're really happy and proud about that. I can directly tackle the narrative. Yeah, but are you guys really learning if you win everything? Yeah, we are. If you have watched the LEC this year, you will notice it's usually the same teams we have to beat to win everything. So those are our best enemies and strongest opponent. And I think some of them are getting even stronger next year. So it will be definitely an interesting 2025. So yeah, we're happy about the year locally. We're not happy about the year internationally. And then it fucking sucks, man. I will publish the scrim results like in the next 24 hours probably. And then I'm happy we got a game from BLG. Was not the case in Scrim. They're extremely good. I think overall this year the Eastern teams are really fucking good. So I wish we were a bit more ready, you know. So we will take the learnings and grind harder. I think we've done some great steps forward when it comes to practice and how we structure the day, how we structure the week, how we are managing the year overall. So I think that's good. And yeah, that's yeah. It just sucks, right? we lost, and we're not going to Paris. We're staying in Berlin till the end of the year. Want to thanks all the fans who were great for.
Okay, thank you, Romain. Well, all right, homies. First and foremost, I want to say, because always it's the same thing, okay? It's the same thing. It's the same thing. People come out of the woodworks trying to talk about what the issue is about the LEC. And let me tell you this, G2 is not the problem. G2 is definitely not the problem. People always come out with the same bullshit, same fucking takes about, oh, we should do triple scrim block, we should scrim harder, we should work harder. No, bro, G2 is a team that works fucking hard. And I think it is very impressive how good they've managed to become while playing out of Europe. I think there is a very, very evident challenge of that. And G2 is doing everything right. They're trying to inspire other teams to do everything right. And I think that in terms of reinvigorating the league, things like this takes time. It really, really takes time. And in order to weed out people that don't belong, it also takes time. Everything will become evident over time. I agree with the notion that the format sucks. The split system with BO1s, it sucks ass. You get insanely punished for taking any risk, so people don't take risk, and you have the same bullshit gameplay throughout. What benefit do you have in taking risk? I played for, in Casey, we played for 9 days, we went 2-7, Casey made changes. That's a prerogative, right? But we played for 3 weeks, and that's BO1s on one patch. What kind of risks are you allowed to take in order to challenge the top? When I was in weaker teams on paper, we saw it as an obligation to take the role of an underdog, which means that you need to explore new ideas in order to become an outlier, to beat teams that have better players than you, right? But what kind of risks are you allowed to take? You're not allowed to take risks. You're not allowed to take risk at all. So that needs to change in my mind, or the mentality of teams needs to change, because everything is just so short-term driven most of the time. But I don't think G2 is the problem. They do everything right. All these players work fucking hard. And it's really silly when people say that this is the issue. Draft issues, draft prep happens. The best teams in the world do it too. T1 has done it. GNG has done it. These teams have always also fallen into traps that are silly, right? We can all sit here and say that game 1 draft giving Jack Skarner is insanity. But I'm telling you guys, G2 is not the problem. Look at the 2 other European teams of this tournament, right? I don't think that Fnatic is not working hard either. I think those guys are working hard. I think Mad Lions is working hard too. But there's a lot of dynamics that need to be ironed out. Because I don't think the 3 teams that were at the World Championship didn't work hard. They scrimmed hard, they played hard. I saw them in solo queue, I saw them in practice, right? I don't think it comes down to that. It just comes down to some dynamics just need to die so others and new ones can emerge. And some players need to exit the league so new players can emerge. Coaches need to exit the league so new ones can emerge. GMs, bro, I want to hear new GM acquisitions, because a lot of things that are in place don't make sense. There's players and people that are in place that need to be shifted out, in my opinion. But there's that. I think G2 deserves the least amount of blame. Because I think they're doing a great job of being a representative of the region. And regardless of the outcome of this, I do think that they were the best Western team at this tournament. That's been the case for a very, very long time. An additional topic that I want to tackle, because people like to chirp about this, right? People like to chirp, like, why are they not playing off meta? Look how well FlyQuest did playing off meta. People are chirping so hard about this. I think it's so insulting to the Eastern teams. The Eastern teams are also trying to renovate the meta. Finding ways to throw curveballs is very, very difficult because it takes two to tango. In game one, okay, FlyQuest versus Hanwha Life, they gave up full comfort that comes with a great risk, right? Enemy had Kaiser, Rel, Yon, Sejuani, and Jax. That's literally all of their OTPs. FlyQuest invited that, and they had a draft that is very, very strong, right? Against that in particular. They had a meat grinder comp, is what I like to call it, with Yurgot, Kalista Renata, right? Cassiopeia. These are champions that do very, very well in close quarters when the enemy wants to engage into you, right? That comes at a great risk, right? Enemies playing full comfort, right? A lot of these champions that are being played are not being played because they're bad. In a lot of cases, in most cases, champions are being played because they're strong, right? Game 2, everyone got excited about the Nunu, right? But in a world where Yasuo wasn't the blind pick of Zeka, all of a sudden people would look at it different. Yasuo was picked blind into Olaf, Kalista, Leona, Nunu showing. Takes two to dance. And this thing about innovating and throwing curveballs in the meta, right? And being ahead of the curve. Teams that win do this. DRX did it. T1 did it. To be in that position to say that Eastern teams are not trying to find the next evolution in draft is such an outdated concept, because they realized this after playing against G2 2019. It's a very, very outdated concept. It is something that is very, very good to pursue, in my opinion, in terms of exploring what is the next evolution of the game. I think it's extremely important. So don't misunderstand me. But don't try to think that the other teams, the best teams, are not actively doing this at the same time. And that is what makes it so damn difficult. As the underdog, you are supposed to shock, you're supposed to fight southpaw, you're supposed to make it awkward for the opposition. And FlyQuest did a good job of that. Because there's opportunity there. But you gotta play good. You gotta be able to play good. So, now getting to the games, because we don't have a lot of time. At 6 o'clock, I'm going to get into things with the boys. Game 1, I was as disappointed as everybody else, right? It's like, in terms of the prep work, I think that the main thing for me when it comes to G2, I love Caps and Orianna, right? And I think last year they did a good job, but last year they played a very, very different macro game. And I think the macro game has evolved at this World Championship. Having mobility is insanely, insanely strong, because you're allowed to push sides for free, and you put these champions that are strong in team fights in worse economical state. You put them in a position where they have to sacrifice something to be on mid waves. And I don't think that when they play Orianna, something that is less mobile, the G2 do a good job of letting Caps have freedom on side. Because when Caps is the most dangerous is when he played the Yone, the Azir, even the LBs, all these champions with mobility, and Tristana, that allow them to steal waves on his own, which is crucial, right? Caps is a fantastic side lane, one of the best side laners in the world. And Orianna keeps him in check. Additionally, you give Jax and Skarner over. Bin Jax, I think you can talk about endlessly. And then in the previous series, Knight saw that LeBlanc did so well against Nocturne Orianna, because obviously his champion is mobile. So now you have this Nocturne Orianna combo with no targets in the first place. And the enemy team has Jax and LeBlanc, which means that Nocturne ult in terms of the mid game And late game, in terms of side laning, is too big of a risk because it's so easy for all of these champs to survive. So Nocturne loses all steam. We saw that in the Weibo series too. Sometimes you need to recognize that it's not a question of the combo when you play Nocturne Orianna. It's a question of Orianna just playing itself. Because Orianna in this game, if she went Archangel and maybe Liandry's, she's still a good champ into tankier champions, right, in terms of DPS, right? I think that this prep, you know, I didn't see anything creative because this to me is very similar to the Yone invitation from, of course, Fnatic. I think it's on same level, the Yone invitation from Fnatic, when they invited Cream Yone to play a composition that requires discipline. This is a composition that is like you're playing Gnar into Jax, inviting full comfort for the enemy. I think that BB is a fine Gnar. He had a great tournament, but this is a matchup that Bin has played 1,000 times, and he's going to play it better than anybody else, right? Like he solo killed Zeus. And that's Zeus. Zeus is insane, right? So they're playing this composition. They have the bot prio and they have the combo, but this is the 4th game of Orianna Nocturne they played in a row, which makes things very predictable. Skarner speaks for itself and so forth, and we continue this composition. The only real target you have is Kai'Sa, but Kai'Sa, even with time, becomes very durable due to her R, due to buying Hourglass, so eventually you will have no target at all. I think this game was kind of simple and clear cut in terms of how it played out. I don't think there was anything too exciting about it. I think that early on it was quite over. Compositionally, I think that Bilibili just was a lot better. And in the context of Bilibili, I do think that this is starting to look like the Bilibili that we know about, in my opinion. I think that this was too great of a risk for my taste, because you're not really setting up anything exciting here, in my opinion, to justify giving Skarner and Jax. I think Skarner and Jax is really good against Orianna Nocturne, so the trade is just terrible. Even though I think Orianna Nocturne can be good in some situations, in this situation, it clearly isn't. It just clearly isn't. I'm trying to think if there was anything that stood out in the game. I don't think so. I think it was very stock standard and, you know, nothing too exciting. G2 in the second game, I think they got the memo. They showcased. Sorry, this is the third game. Let's not go to the heartbreak so soon. In the second game, they got the memo. I think that on the other side, I think that Bilibili's Nico pick here on 2 is absolutely atrocious. I don't think it makes sense at all, Nico on 2. When you're in a situation where you are blind picking and you're not planning to put this jungle or support or do anything else with it, I do think that this is insanely troll. G2 adjusted now on blue side into first pick Skarner, and they are picking champions that are relatively decent, you know, the Jax ban inviting the Gnar and then having the Yasuo into the Gnar. Like this is way more in the line of thinking that I would have hoped that G2 would have played out in the game 1. Caps playing Sylas gives him opportunities on side. This is, you know, BB comfort against Bin outside of comfort. Bin picking Gnar is still very predictable when Jax is out. You know, his prior is Jax over Gnar over Renekton, right? So this is a very, very nice situation. I think the Nico pick is utter trash, and I don't understand why on this Sunday we had so many situations where Xin Zhao was picked into Skarner. I really, really don't get it. Xin Zhao into Skarner is complete fucking troll, in my opinion. You can never E into him. I don't know why Xin Zhao was the counter to Skarner in these situations. It's like you can maybe R him out when he E's or something like this, but you can never really fight him. He always just beats you. So I really don't see it. Xin Zhao is better against ranged champions, in my opinion, whether it's like Kindred or Graves or ranged champions and mages and whatever, because of how his ult works and how sticky he can be, because of his E cooldown and how his mark works. But I really, really hate the damn Nico. I think the Nico. So what they should pick versus Skarner, well, that's the age-old problem, right? That's a very, very hard thing to deal with, because Skarner is very, very strong. It's like if you can play AD mids when Yone is out, then you, of course, you want to play Zyra or Brandon to Skarner, because they have, Leandri axis, and they do a lot of damage to a Skarner that buys a lot of HP. The other angle that you can go with is that you just pick a jungler that has good pairing with everything else that is going on in the game. Maybe you're playing Renekton and Sejuani against Skarner. Maybe that's the way, right? But I do admit that Skarner is in a state that he's very strong. Maybe you want to get crazy. Maybe you play Mordecai as a jungle against Skarner. Right? Maybe every time he fights you, just ult him to deny his ult, and then you get creative like that in terms of solving other flaws in your composition. It's just that currently Skarner is a very, very strong first pick because he is so impactful regardless of what is picked currently, right? Maybe there's something that I'm missing out on, but it's very hard to find AD champs to pair with AP champs to counter Skarner right now. Mordekaiser jungle could be something very crazy that somebody picks, right? Mordekaiser can clear and then reach the 6 and then maybe he can match, but then your team needs to survive against Skarner ganks. But Skarner, he just gets through walls and he has very unique gank angles, very powerful, good atomization, good early game, and he doesn't really feel weak at any point of the game. I think junglers like in first base Giants belt are crazy strong because they walk with a HP bar as big as my D, a massive health bar, and that is just simply too powerful. All right, we continue. Draven Varos out, and then the Xayah lock-in here. I think the Xayah lock-in is kind of dangerous on 4 because it's while it can be solid against melee compositions, the issue with it is that enemy can take and steal Rakan away very easy, and also the AD carry champions into Xayah are very good. The answer into, of course, Kaiser is Xayah. I think Ezreal does a good job of keeping Xayah at bay, so it isn't super comfortable. And here in this spot, they pick Renata. I think playing Renata against Yasuo can be very awkward. I think it's a good ult for Sylas. I think that even though they have a kind of an all-in composition, they're quite mobile, and at the same time, they can, just swing back and forth. This was a very, very fun game. I think that Mickey did a fantastic job of pressuring mid. I think that, every time I get memed on, why do you put Mickey top 3? I think that he finds angles around mid-wave really, really well. And I think that in terms of being clutch in fights, I think that he's insanely sharp and insanely impressive. I think that in most cases where people judge support is like, oh, this support dies a lot. But I think that in a lot of cases, the community can't really judge, what a player is trying to pursue in terms of finding information or what they're trying to look for in a game. Knight misplayed some of his situations when it came to his W usage because he took a turret shot, which made him lose a lot of HP. Here he's going to hit and use W. I think this is the moment where he sends his W, but he walks a little bit too soon. He sends his W and the W doesn't take aggro, and he takes aggro first, which fucks him up. If this is a cancellation for free with, of course, the clone, it would have been a lot better, but instead Knight loses all of his HP, putting Caps in a winning position. And Mickey had prior because of Ezreal lane, and then the freeze on mid really fucks up Knight's life here. There's a freeze on mid, and then the cannon's taken, and Sylas is even CS against a Nico with Grasp. It's a really, really big win for Caps. Fantastic. The lane swap into top side, I think G2 made this a little bit awkward, but you have Ezreal into Gnar crashing the wave, which is super nice. BB staying on top side, he's stronger than Ezreal is in fights currently. They managed to crash and BB almost dies, but with the condition on mid, with Caps froze mid, Caps being 6 and BB being 6, and them having prior on top, secures them the grubs, which is super nice. Bin pushes all the way on bot, gets a 2 platings, which is chill. We scroll forward. This was a very dangerous game. I think that after the trade, they just need to walk out. I don't like that they are continuing. Not a big fan. We continue. Here, I think the setup is better for Bilibili, considering where the waves are. You can see the top is pushed in, bot is pushed in. Maybe we take a look at how and why that happened. It seems that BB is just basing here after Gnar. So Gnar is pushing now, and then BB is walking out on the map, and he's here walking on the neutral. And then Nico is already on the map on bot. And I think that the fact that Nico and Gnar base before is why these waves are the way they are, and Caps opening on bot. Here they cross into here, and something that Rakan does super well is gain information, right? Rakan is so mobile, so you can face check here and spot enemy here to see what the action of the enemy is. Beautiful W for Mickey, nice follow-up from Broken Blade to ult that in, and at this point in time, Blue Side's champions with the Skarner and the Sylas are super, super strong, and Bin is on top wave. Here, Billy probably should have, traced the fact that nobody's on top wave, and they should just pull out the grubs and be willing to run. Them contesting dig push here is not at the moment in time to do so, and G to find a nice punish. Caps TPs, and then Caps finally goes on to Elk. He steals the Gnar ultimate, snaps his neck, he has no flash, Gnar ultimate, slams him into the wall, and at the other side of the fight, On with no flash gets charmed, and BB just chases after him to get with Hans Sama. On tries to ult to save his boy at the back end there, Elk, but a beautiful fight from G2 puts him in, honestly, a game-winning position. Because if Sylas is ahead of a Nico that is buying Liandry's, he is in a really, really good position. If he is stronger on side, this game is kind of just over. I think the blue side scales better. And the main thing is, what kind of advantages can Gnar and Nico build against the Sylas and the Yasuo? But I think that's too difficult. So I think draft-wise, G2 really, really outdid themselves and did a fantastic job. BB, he was in the matrix here in terms of how he survived. I didn't think it was possible. He finds the knock-up, boom, boom. He finds the ult, and then he dashes out to dodge the W, and here comes Mickey X2. Maybe they could have killed Xin Zhao, but already walking away. Sugar Sean and Mali really enjoyed it in the crowd. Beautiful. Let's take a look at the game decider. Nico on bottom side with no TP. They're looking to punish with a collapse, which I like. You see that Caps here is undermining, using his window of advantage to his advantage. Nico being on bot after Sylas pushed all the way. That's so crucial about G2's gameplay, right? Caps being able to push all the way without being under any fear, them having the information, Renata not being so good at setting up ganks and pressure, Sylas being able to push all the way, Nico needing to catch that because she can't fall behind the resources, gives Caps this massive window to cross into top side. So he spots Renata here, he pushes her out, and then he goes on to Bin, and they move on the turret with the 4 grubs and the grasp the wind wall onto Bin, so he can't clear the wave. And then Caps goes, rocks and rolls. We have the ult combination, and then Bin dies. They continue on Shun, and Shun does a disgusting flash where he flashes on the spot, and Skarner still grabs him. On tries to ult him, but it's a little bit too late because Sylas manages to buffer his chains as well. Absolutely lovely. The game state is fucking marvelous. 4,000 gold lead. Imagine if this was game 1. Wow. I don't want to be I don't like being a revisionist, Andy, but I feel pain here about G2's loss. I really, really feel pain about their loss. The rest of the game is pretty straightforward. As I mentioned before, they're much stronger on side. I think that in this window, when they have 2 core, I do think that they should look to pressure Nash more. I think that eventually they did it, but they had windows where they could. After Ezreal pushes this wave, I think that you hit this because Nico needs to push so deep and Nara's already pushed out. The reason is because all their champions can engage on whoever comes across the wall. Right now, this 2 core advantage is massive that they have on everybody. Any fight should be winning, and their champs can easily find engages across the wall. It should be impossible for Billy to cross, but G2 is playing a little bit timid, which is okay, right? They're on match point. It's understandable. G2 eventually pulled the trigger, and Yike gets a beautiful get on my sting across the wall. But I think even if they didn't, I do think that they could have just snapped over the wall. They could have sent Sylas TP, whatever, on that TP on that ward that we see over here. Could have been marvelous. But after that, I think the game is over. The game is done. All right, that moves us to game number 3. I think there's nothing else to really watch. G2 find some progress with the Nash. They take a little bad fight. Well, let's just watch the game ender, I guess. Here we have it. Bin got caught on side, and G2 is just collapsing here. Wind wall the wave, no problem. BB just dashes through the minions, all ins on Elk. Elk ults Mickey's W, and then he kites back, but eventually the Q flash of BB gets him. Knight only gets Rakan. I think that this was a horrible game from Knight. I think the draft was really bad from Billy, honestly, with the Xin Zhao, Nico, and whatever, but Knight had a stinker, bro. Itemization wise and game wise. These allegations were tough. Okay. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, game number 3. I do think, once again, I really don't like the Xin Zhao. I'm such a hater of Xin Zhao in Toscana showing, honestly, guys. I really don't like it. I think in spots like these, Sejuani just does better. I just think it does better. I don't know. I have to ask some pros, why did everybody pick Xin Zhao? Like, Tian did it, right? But they leveraged Tian's like level 3 and his skirmishing really well because they had pushing lanes, because the enemy was like Smolder and whatever the fuck bot. So they really leveraged it. You know, the Tian game, you remember top esports against Damwon? Like, that was nice, you know? But here, I think, I just feel like if Sejuani was here instead of Xin Zhao, it just would have made for a better composition, because you have Renekton and Gnar and Jax are out, so Renekton is the go-to pick. I like the fact that G2 actually picked Renekton here, even though BB isn't the best Renekton. Europe is not a bad, like the region of Europe is quite bad on Renekton in my opinion. But I like the fact that they pick it away here, because when Jax and Gnar are out, it is simply the strongest blind that you can do. And even though Bin is not known for Rumble, he's played enough Rumble. And if you paid attention to Champions Queue, this is something that he played a shit ton. Like, this is something that, like, usually Bin as a player, if he has a flaw, he practices the shit out of it. And then suddenly it becomes like a massive edge. For the longest time, his K'Sante was trash. He didn't know how to fight. And then he's the type of guy to really, really drill something, because he doesn't accept having a flaw. I don't know if you guys remember the speech that he was given after the World Finals, where somebody was like, yo, his coach in Suning, he was like, yo, brother, only 2 in 16 top laners at this tournament can play Fiora, but 15 out of 16 can play tank top. If you learn how to play tank top, he was like crying, right? He's like explaining to him how good he is and what he's lacking to be really, really insane. No, definitely. Like, now his K'Sante is insane. Like, his K'Sante is crazy now. I'm just pointing it out as what type of a player Bin is, because Bin, I saw him maybe play 25 games of Rumble in Champions Queue, and he was getting better and better. He was the type of Rumble that was really good in lane, but then he would do forest fires. You know, those type of Rumbles. But nevertheless, Rumble gets picked, good into, of course, Renekton, solid. I would have liked Sejuani instead of Xin Zhao more. They pick Rel. Mickey goes for this Taric. I think that's solid too. I think Taric is cool. I think that Taric is cool. I think it's an interesting champion. Depends on the synergy that you can find on 5 pick, of course. I think that the Rise as well, I think it's all right. Jizuki said that this was definitely a game for him to go Mercs and Road of Ages, because the enemy is so they're just so magic damage heavy, and him being bulky in a game where the enemy has a lot of melees could have been insane. I trust Jizuki on Rise builds more than anybody else, guys. So he's the resident Rise player, if there was anyone. For him, this was a Road of Ages game. And nevertheless, I think draft-wise, I think the Silas lock-in is atrocious. I really don't like the Silas lock-in here, because the ults that you have when you locked it was Kalista, Taric, Renekton, Xin Zhao. Like, you're playing it against really, really anti-melee champs in Renekton, Kalista, Taric. So I think the Silas lock-in here is really, really bad. And I think it's something to highlight, you know, the state of mind of Knight, you know, what's going on there with the brother, what's going on there with the homie. Because, you know, this series was quite rough for him, in my opinion. This is not an easy Silas game. You can pick something on 5, whatever suits your fancy. I think Rise was interesting enough for this game to be like, you know, I think it's solid, you know. I think blind picking Silas here is very dangerous. Very, very dangerous. Okay. Looking at this game, I do think that G2 was very, very competitive, right? It was very back and forth. I like that G2 realized that they need to be the ones hard forcing on the enemy. They were fighting back. I liked it a lot. Then you have the flash from Mickey onto Shun. They trade sums. We continue. I think the main thing that we want to highlight, of course, probably at some point we're going to do a larger breakdown of this G2 roster and their G2 run at Worlds. I just want to go to the main moments here that were the deciding factors. How can you say the series was rough for him when he carried the fight at the Baron and got so much space for Elk? His Nico game was utter trash. Him blind picking Silas here is not good. Him carrying a fight because Yike decides to run it down is it like I have an expectation of these players to be capable of playing out fights, right? It's really not an argument there, you know. We fast forward. Is there better picks and Rise here? I haven't thought about it too much. I kind of like Rise here, honestly. I kind of like Rise here. I think that he's bulky enough, good with mercs, and has a very, very high DPS output, and he can manage side laning on his own, you know? So I like that aspect of it. Azir is horrible right now. Silas is an answer into Azir, if anything, so picking Azir is quite bad. I think this was cool too. They were busy. Silas got the first turret. I mean, sorry, not the first turret. But he got to push both for free. The first turret's already gone. I'm going to just fast forward to the big moments, guys, in the game. Let's start here. I really like the G2 recognized the purpose of I think that's fair. I think that his LeBlanc game was really, really good. I think that's fair. But I don't think his Silas, like locking Silas here, I think is risky. Like you have to understand, Randy, I am talking from the point of view of rating Knight as the second best mid lane that come into this tournament. There's a standard that comes with that. In my mind, right? There's a standard that comes with that you really, really need to hit, in my opinion. So it comes from that position. Like I'm not comparing him to the average Joe at the World Championship. I'm talking through the lens of is Billy and Knight a contender for the trophy? If you're picking Nico like this and blind picking Silas, I'm worried. Plain and simple. Like you do this shit against teams that maybe are all across the board better, it's dangerous. But okay. G2 recognize the point of their comp. They need to send it in, they need to fight hard, they need to break the ankles of Ezreal. I think that's super, super good. Elk here has no cleanse. It is crazy how slippery Elk is always. I really liked how Caps bounced the E off of on here to do damage to Elk. The TPs comes from behind. I think that Yike also snaps on Elk in a good way. The Tarakult is super, super nice. The kite back. I like that Billy like reposition to be from the same angle. Elk gets to eat the plant, which is kind of crazy that the plant spawns here because of Chemtech, right? And there we go. I'm looking at the fine details here if there was a way for Elk to die earlier. But I don't think so. I think the BB had a pretty decent Renekton game by European standards, if I'm going to be honest. I think it was pretty solid. It's a good rage control. I think that everybody, honestly, I think that everybody played. I'm looking at this, I feel like everybody played this fight so well. I think that everybody played this fight so well. If I'm going to be honest, like Tarek timing ult is good. It's like the Shun flash over the wall to regroup. I think that Elk probably, let's see. Let's see Elk. He gets rooted here. He gets bounced on here. Let me see when Elk flashes. Wow, it's kind of crazy. Elk is fucking playing so crazy. Let me see BB. Yeah, I think BB here, his W is not empowered. Like that's like the main criticism here. I think maybe if they his W is not empowered. The exhaust timing on Bin is so nice too. Look at that exhaust timer there. Knight with the Tarek ult. Tarek ult is very nice from Knight too, man. And Hansa G2 just kite back well. That was just a fucking beautiful fight, I feel like. We continue to probably the highlight, because the simple explanation for this, Nash, guys. The simple explanation for this, in my mind, is just they just need to finish Nash. The enemy team needs to enter into them, guys. There is no rush for them. Shun is very far. They have Rend. They should just keep hitting it with Tarek to heal everybody. This turn is nonsensical. This turn is nonsensical. They said they thought Rumble doesn't have TP. Well, it doesn't matter, right? Even if he TPs, why would you turn here with Yike? This is... like, you should just keep hitting here. The enemy needs to go melee in order to interact with you. This is Silas Rumble with no ult yet. You should just keep hitting. Because keep in mind, Yike can just ult them out if they go, right? He can just ult them out if they go. There is no necessity for that. This is just horrible. Yike basically just like he killed himself by going like that. Which is very sad, because obviously this would have changed the whole game, because instead of the other end, now Billy have Nash and they have the winning fight. And here again, I respect the G2 attempt this, because if they give up everything because they can't contest on under the turret, then the Nashor will get so much value. I respect the fact that G2 send it like this. It is through a choke, so it isn't the best, and maybe at this point they shouldn't go anymore. They should probably clear the wave. But I like that G2 is in the right state of mind. They should force on the team that has no flash Elk and the team that has Nash. They should force. But I think funneling themselves through here, giving Rumble the biggest ult of all time is just not the way, right? And Billy turned the fight around. I think the moment they got out, right, I think it would have been a lot better. I think it's just the way. Keep in mind the Silas TP timer is when they send through the case, so I don't know if they can actually turn on him. Because look when the Silas TP comes through. I guess they could. Maybe if Yike just ults and resets his fight there on his end, maybe they could turn. I think they could turn on Silas. He TPs too soon. It could have been nice. They can. I thought that Silas TP'd later, that's why I thought they couldn't. Ish. Yeah, nobody, like, Caps didn't flash the scanner ult. They played this fight pretty bad. Either way. I think the turn on Silas that was called out in chat is good. I think if they turn on Silas, it does look pretty fucking good. I thought Silas TP'd later. Like, Silas should TP later, right? He should wait, and he should TP like now, right? When these guys have crossed this line, then he should TP. Then it would be better. He has Hourglass though, so he's gonna be able to buy a lot of time. So I'm not sure how that ends, but let's see the final fight before I move on to play Super Vibe with the boys. And this final fight, it's just Elk going kind of crazy, you know? Look at that snap here from Mickey, bro. Really, really nice. I think this is beautiful. Mickey ult on the fucking Q flash is fucking nice, I think. Really, really nice. It's a game changer. And then you have gets the ult off. They kite back the Taric ultimate and they sacrifice On's life for it. You know, that's a part of the game, okay? They sacrifice On's life for it. Like at this point, at this point here, when Skana died, I thought this fight is Giga winning. Because in my mind, I think that it does look like G2 can actually reset the fight. Fuck me, man. Oof. I think also probably G2 need to like exit together, you know? I think they're not expecting Erk to do this shit, you know? Because I think that if Yaich tethers to his team more, maybe they can just turn and kill him together here. But I understand why he's tethering far, because if Erk like ease over and snipes him on his own sum, it's like that's definitely a thing. Hansama, if he gets a rend reset as well, it changes so much. It changes so much as well if he gets the rend reset on Silas. Like here, he auto rends, but I think he just doesn't get the reset. Just doesn't get the reset. Wow. Crazy. Rise is also so close to having flash. Wow. Erk is such a psychopath, man. Like knowing that Caps has like E cooldown half a second longer, that he has to step out of the ult is crazy talk from Elk. It's crazy talk. We have the pause. Turned out there wasn't a bug, and off this fight, right? Blue side just got Nash. And after the Nash, it's hard for G2 to do much, right? It's like Ezreal, Silas are so fully scaled. Rumble has a lot of fucking items too. G2 can't really crack them. No pen on Rise, and they're simply just outscaled. G2 tried to go for a Hail Mary, didn't work out. I think the Nash was the opportunity, man. Nash, just that Nash was the opportunity for them to win the game, man. It's rough. Very, very rough. Do you like the Zim pick? Is it crazy to me? Nah, I hate the Zim pick. I think it's completely useless. I think in this game, Sejuani Renekton would have been so much better. I don't like it.
United them. Are you ready on Hunter's tab?
Hello?
Yes, Hunter's tab.
Okay, Brawl. This guy, if anyone plays